It's the People Who Make a Difference Award. It pays tributes to individuals who supported the university, made a difference in the quality of life of our community, and it's my privilege to present this award to a former UHV professor, Dr. Robert Lyle. Dr. Lyle, if you'll come up. In 1974, when Dr. Lyle was a UHV professor, he founded the Victoria Symphony. Now that's pretty amazing. Today, he's in the 18th year. Come on up so they can see you. He's in the 18th year as the general and artistic director of the New Orleans Opera Association. Dr. Lyle's introduction to conducting was through his church, where as a teenager helped his father conduct the choir. Those early experiences became the foundation from which his life work derived, inspiring others to love and appreciate the performance of music. Dr. Lyle worked for UHV as a member of the music faculty from 1974 to 1979. During that time, he served as music director for the Victoria Symphony Orchestra, a position which he continued to hold for 16 years. The symphony was established when Dr. Lyle began recruiting area musicians. At its beginning, it was a UHV-sponsored program, but it continued as an organization with broad support from the community, as many of you know. The Victoria Symphony Orchestra continues to benefit our community more than 42 years later. Since his time at UHV, Dr. Lyle has served as music director for the Oak Ridge Symphony Orchestra for 11 years, general director of the Knoxville Opera for 17 years, artistic director of the Mississippi Opera for 4 years. He was also the artistic director of Michigan's Opera Grand Rapids for 26 seasons. During his career, he has conducted symphonies and operas across the globe, including New York's Carnegie Hall, Italy, Mexico, Spain, the Netherlands, Moscow, St. Petersburg, and Istanbul. He's received much recognition for his work, including Creative Achievement Awards given during Opera America's 2007 National Conference for his work to relaunch the city's art after Hurricane Katrina. Dr. Lyle, we are deeply grateful to you for all the contributions you've made, not only to Victoria, but to many, many others, and we're honored to present this award to you.
Thank you.
They're excited too.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Morgan. Before I make a few comments about the past and the future, first I would like to address the Dean of Education and his experience at Chick-fil-A to share with you the true burdens of celebrity recognition. True story. Recently, I was walking down the street in New Orleans, and a car pulled up next to me and rolled down a window, and a little lady said, "Aren't you the conductor of the opera?" And I said with pride, "Yes, I am." And she said, "Could you park my car? I don't know how to parallel park." So, and while I am not on book, let me thank those students who came to New Orleans to work for the rebuilding of our city. Special gift to take time out of your lives to address the needs of other people. I obviously get very emotional about the experiences of rebuilding that city and the sacrifices that other communities made, student groups, church groups that came in, I was able to launch that, for which I was justly recognized with a great gala concert with Placido Domingo and a list of superstars to reignite the role that the arts can play in a community. But the real foundation work was done by public-spirited student groups, church groups, individuals that took time out of their lives to come and say, here is a great and colorful city, and I will be a part of its continuance. And those of us that lived through that and worked through it cannot thank you enough. Enough said. This has been a fascinating evening for me, to sit and watch the future, the present and the future being projected for what I think is a wonderful city. 42 years ago, as a brash young PhD, I was asked to come and work with the music program here to launch it, and to find the right mix between a new institution, the University of Houston, Victoria, and an established organization, Victoria College, with its arts programs, and what we might do for the upper level of education in music. And of course, being an enterprising young composer-conductor at the time, I said, well, let's start a symphony orchestra. So, yeah. And what I am proud of is that 42 years later, in the climate, the arts climate in our country with its challenges, and we could speak at great length about the challenges of entertainment and the technology that has brought entertainment to a new high in availability and exoticism, that this symphony is thriving. There are so many people that are sitting in this room tonight, and especially very close friends. I couldn't have done much without a noble and dedicated assistant conductor, Fred Junkin. Fred, please stand up and take a bow. I was thrilled when Fred was recognized for his lifelong commitment to Victoria Independent School District with the opening of the Fine Arts Center, and I was pleased to be able to see his picture there. But those individuals that were brought together from the area, musicians that wanted to participate, and I pulled together a coalition of string players and band directors of all different kinds, and then we infused into that professional players from the Houston Symphony and the Corpus Symphony and the San Antonio Symphony to give us the professionalism that we needed to speak to the community in musical terms. Our first performance was a great piece by the American composer Howard Hanson, Song of Democracy, a great anthem, and we pulled a lot of choral forces together and we gave a great concert, and it was a great success. So we were launched. And then we decided, that was in November, we would do a Christmas concert, which was a complete disaster. We added dancing. That was a mistake. The principal oboist, who had a huge solo in the suite from the Nutcracker, had to go to the emergency room. So I had to rescore her music for other instruments. During the intermission, one of the players decided to give birth. You know, so there were hitches in the initial stages. But we soldiered on, as it were, and then we began attracting the interest of community participants. And as you know, a symphony orchestra is a property of the greater public. It might have the dedication and the commitment of a core of people, and the people who are here tonight that played such huge roles, and I want to ask them to stand. Dr. Michael Hummel and Cora Jo Hummel, please rise. Melvin and Janie Lack, you are here. Please rise. Leonard and Penny Geets could not be here tonight because of some health-related issues, and I regret that they cannot be here to also rise. These are among the many, many people that stepped forward and said, yes, the concept of the Victoria Symphony and what a symphony means to a community. Doctor, I realize you only gave me 3 minutes, and I'm going to exceed that. And you did talk about their butts already, right? But the symphony orchestra has been the pillar of American musical institutions for about the last century or more. It was the closest identification with the European tradition. So I find myself here accepting an award for an event that took place 42 years ago, and yet spent an evening excited about the presentations of the present and the future. So without dwelling on the past and all of the people that were responsible who share in this award in oh so many ways that I cannot tell you, but the individual contributions of time, energy, money, planning, whatever could be contributed to the cause that allowed us to get up and walk. With the initial support of the University of Houston, Victoria, and then the adjunct involvement and then final full participation of the melding of Victoria College music programs through their choral programs and their band programs and things like that, that allowed all of this to come together in some community way. I can only say that there is an inherent relationship between the arts and education. So it is absolutely proper and perfect that the birth of this organization, the Victoria Symphony, really emerged from the two leading educational institutions in our city and the important players within it. And so, yes, I had the fun job, apart from all of the work, of actually making the music. But the truth is that all of the groundwork came from the education institutions, their commitment to find, to accommodate, to support by hiring string players who could then teach for the public schools, who could participate in the community in the larger way of reaching and speaking to students and to public, until we actually had an institution, a musical institution that could present major artists like Friedel Lack, world-renowned violinist that performed with us a number of times, Leonard Rose, America's leading cellist at the time, Abby Simon, one of the world's leading pianists. For us at those fledgling stages to be able to present artists of that quality was something very special and was also a gift to our effort. So this is something that you all own. Now, in close, the arts are in a bit of anguish today. We are wondering about the resources. We are concerned about declining audience participation. We are examining the role of the arts within the community. It's fun and easy, not simple, but to talk about the role of business development, to talk about commercial enterprises and things like that. But when we come to that somewhat more abstract arena of talking about things of the spirit, it's often difficult to quantify them, but it is certainly easy to recognize their absence. And so consequently, what we must, as a nation, as a city, as a community, address is the spirit of the need for the tradition that we have inherited. Someone said, is it about the concert or is it about the role that the institution plays in the community? Is it simply a musical event of presenting Beethoven on the stage? Or is it reaching students? Is it embedding ourselves in the community? Is it heightening our civic impact? Is it making ourselves a viable partner in the activities and the priorities of the community? It is all of those things. But yes, it is about the concert. Because the concerts that we give, the greatness of Beethoven and Brahms and Bach and Bernstein, and the array of experiences that we offer are the culmination of this reach into the community. You haven't had, by the way, real education until you've had Melvin Lack dressed as Chuck E. Cheese, who was actually in our very first children's concert about 40 years ago. But more seriously, and to bring this to conclusion, it is a process of leading all of that reach. As I looked at the web page of the modern Victoria Symphony, easy for me to talk about the past. I, too, would prefer to talk about the future. You are here and now with a very fine orchestra, with a very fine conductor, Daryl One, with a grand heritage of success. And so now the responsibility is to keep that thriving, make it viable, heighten that embedment in the community, heighten the role that allows that institution to interact with children, with young people, with students, with opportunities which lead to the concert. Because we, after all, have been handed one of the greatest treasures of Western society, and that is the heritage of music, the heritage of every great composer now supplemented by the additions of new music and enterprising and genius American composition and the modern era. But we build on such a strong foundation that we must keep this flame alive because it is important to our emotional, spiritual, intellectual well-being as a people. And the sense that greatness resides in the quality of life that the experience of an organization like the Victoria Symphony and others like it offers to us as individuals. Thank you for this award.
Robert, thank you so much. We're so pleased that you could be with us.